I don't know what it means for President Trump to say we might make a deal with Iran. There's no deal to make unless the deal, of course, is to allow the Ayatollah to still be alive when he leaves. If that's the deal, well, then I'm all in favor of a deal. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz today. Smoking the La Aurora Cameroon. Great stick for the show. Radio show's about to begin. Let's go. Let's go. There are no deals to be made. Not with the Ayatollah. Not for a second. There's no deal to be made with this terrorist. Maybe the deal is you get to leave Iran alive while you rot forever in a jail cell, or Moscow, which I wouldn't even know how you would describe the difference at this stage of the game. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Live streaming, YouTube.com/Tony Katz. Get into the chat room. I mean, there's a fair amount of madness that has been going on, including from the good people, Golden Globes, who are just so absolutely and vehemently full of themselves. Hey, producer Landon, finger on the dump button.
10 years ago, since then we've had COVID. I believe we're a dictatorship now. And
you schmuck. In what dictatorship, Judd, Director Judd Apatow, do you get to put on a tux, go to an event, and say without any prompting from a government official, I believe we're in a dictatorship now? A lot of stupidity. And there's no end in sight, and they think themselves so pious. But let's stick with Iran and what's going on, because none of these Golden Globe winners or nominees or anybody else thought for a second that they should say, hey, maybe we support the people of Iran, and maybe it would be great if they were actually able to get their freedom and put an end to this horrible Islamic regime that is led by this murderous Ayatollah. Wouldn't that be the very, very best thing? The answer is yes. The answer is undoubtedly yes, but that did not happen. Right now in Iran, you have potentially 10,000 detained, more than 500 dead. Now, these are still the numbers. I did some checking before the show began, and we're still in this idea of 500. I have to assume that the number of dead is more than 500. And I have to assume the numbers of those who have been taken by the regime is more than 10,000. And there's been talk about putting these 10,000 people to death. I don't know what's going to happen. Part of the issue is that we're not getting great reporting out of Iran. Now, Elon Musk did organize Starlink to be able to be available because the Iranian regime shut down the internet, and the only thing they left playing was like Tucker Carlson interviews. I swear to you, that's a true story. This all because the Iranians see the moment of not having to live in this hellscape that they have lived in for all of these years, and it is what it is. Nobody wants to live under an Islamic regime who isn't a radicalized Islamist hell-bent on subjugating or killing anybody who disagrees with them. I don't even take it the way others have in the social media places, that what we're seeing is the Iranian people say we don't want Islam. I'm not 100% sure that's what's being said. What they're saying is we don't want the regime. We don't want the control. We want to have our lives back. We want to be able to engage in trade. We want to end the sanctions. Dear Lord, we want a better life. And this guy can't give it. We live in hell. 1,900 people executed because what? They showed their hair. Women showed their hair. By the way, where are the feminists in Hollywood to support these women who are being abused? The women of Iran are taking photos of the Ayatollah, lighting them on fire and lighting their cigarettes. It's so freaking hot. I don't even know what to say. That, by the way, that's the calendar. Hot Iranian chicks smoking cigarettes is the calendar Iranian chicks for freedom. Just 12 months of Iranian chicks lighting their cigarettes? Yes. More of that, please. They are more brave than any of these liberal women in Hollywood who think that they're brave. Bravery is a woman in Iran lighting a cigarette with a picture of the Ayatollah, not Wanda Sykes. Wanda, you're not brave. You've never been brave. No, I shouldn't say never, because I don't know your total history, but compared to these women in Iran, you're not brave. You want to yell at ICE agents for the death of Renee Good? She blocked traffic, she didn't listen to officers, and she rammed one. She didn't think about her 6-year-old. Nobody wanted her dead, but let's put some blame where it belongs, Wanda. What else did Wanda Sykes say at the Golden Globes? People are upset that a queer black woman was taking the job of 2 mediocre white guys. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. And who cares that you're gay? Those days are over. Maybe someone cared 20 years ago. No one cares today. The only thing they do when they see you is wonder, does she still have a career? Really? Huh? You think she'd love the country that says you can be black and gay and still have a career and make millions? But I guess not for Wanda Sykes. The women of Iran are brave, Wanda. You're not. The people are close. Now, we've been through this before. We have been through before that they have gone down this road. An attempt to secure their freedom. And it has not been successful. It has gotten close and then gone nowhere. And part of the issue has been the total lack of support that has existed from American leadership. That seems to have changed. You've got Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State. You have President Trump, who have come out to say in social media posts that they support the people of Iran and that they want the Iranians to be free, and we are going to support them. I'm overjoyed to see it. It's about time that we have seen it. And it makes a huge difference. That's why when President Trump was going through this thing of making a deal with the Iranians, I'm not sure what he means. Because there's no deal that can be made that keeps the Ayatollah and the regime in power that could satisfy. Just so we're all clear, that doesn't work. That dog won't hunt. The regime has to go, and this can be taken into a bit of a larger context. And my conversation with Noah Rothman last week, I got a couple of really good responses to that from you guys, and I appreciate it. And if I was to surmise, it would be, regime change doesn't always happen all at once. It was a legitimate argument, a valuable argument, that what we see is in the taking of Maduro is nothing more than a step 1. There could be a step 2 and a step 3 that leads to the eradication of the full Maduro regime, because the regime is not just one person. It's all the connective tissue. And you still have, what was her name? Delcy Rodriguez, and others in power who can't be in power if you want the Venezuelans to have a better life. Right? And then you'll get comments like this one. That's because you're a short-sighted, I think they meant sighted, even though they spelled it wrong, stupid idiot. You're not in the White House knowing what's going on like President Trump. Wake up, honey, get your head out of your, oh my. Oh, I don't think you could say that on radio. You think it's wrong for me to say out loud that the president should never make a deal with the Ayatollah that allows the Ayatollah to stay in power? I think that is more than acceptable to do. Because President Trump is a transactional guy. Here, allow me to educate you. Now, I'm only hoping, wait, is your name Yeah, I only hope that you're a woman so you can accuse me of mansplaining, because that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm a man and I explain things. President Trump is already trying to work out deals with Venezuela, and they'll sell the oil here and they'll do this over there, and $100 billion in investments coming from oil companies. President Trump is a very transactional guy. I don't say that as a negative. I'm fully aware of what it is that I voted for 3 times. So settle yourself down, Connie. And being a transactional guy, he sees, all right, I got rid of the threat. Now I'm able to make a deal here. That's good enough. That's his methodology. What I believe that we should be doing is making sure he is fully aware that that methodology has to include the removal of the Maduro regime to get a better end result long term. I don't think there's anything wrong with me being part of the people saying that. Only a weirdo would think, nope, you can't say anything. You just got to let Trump cook. What are you talking about? Oh, you didn't serve in the military. You're not allowed to say anything. What kind of ridiculousness? No deal can be made with the Ayatollah that doesn't involve the Ayatollah giving up power in Iran and the people actually engaging in election and allowing themselves to be free of this Islamist yoke. I said it. I meant it. My name's Tony Katz, and I don't really care if other people are happy with it. Agree, disagree, engage. But you think there's anything that can be done, any deal that can be made that keeps the Ayatollah in power? And my fear is with Trump, anything is possible. The 2 rules of Trumpism are as follows. The first rule of Trumpism is Trump wins. The second rule of Trumpism is that a deal can always be made as long as it adheres to the first rule of Trumpism. Why would anyone argue these points with me? I understand the limitations of the president, and therefore I want to be somebody who pushes for a larger scale conversation to push him to doing even more. I'm doing exactly what I believe the citizenry should do. I voted for the man. Don't forget to do this. You can't say that about President Trump. He's a genius. He's playing 5D chess. No. I'm going to make my voice heard. I'm going to make my voice known, of course. Absolutely, of course. There are great things happening. And I loved that he and Marco Rubio put that out, because this was everything that didn't occur the last time we got close, which was during the Arab Spring, Green Revolution, and Barack Obama did nothing, man. What did he have to do? What did he have to do except say, I support the people of Iran. I want them to be free. And when they remove this yoke around their neck, I use the word yoke, the United States will be there to shake their hand and say, welcome, friend, and engage in trade immediately. We look forward to the days of a free Iran. And I think Trump should say, make Iran Persia again. It's MIPA. Make Iran Persia again. In my lifetime, if you will, since the overtaking by the Ayatollah, I've never seen it this close. I've never seen the opportunity this right there. I've never seen the people engaged in such levels of bravery and such levels of defiance, seeing their moment and their opportunity. And I want them to have it. I want them to get it, every single step of it. So good on the president and good on Marco Rubio for saying so. Now, let's make sure that any deal involves the Ayatollah being gone and the people being free. And let's note that Hollywood, for all their caring about the poor Palestinians, they don't care about the Iranians at all, which makes you think it wasn't ever about the Palestinians to begin with, which is, of course, the story. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. I just realized my banner is out of place. I'll fix it later. I'm not getting up right now. Good to be with you guys. Absolutely. A pleasure to be here. A patriarch is a patriot sugar daddy. Do you? Oh, look at that. Look at that funny thing right there. Oh, hilarious. I love that. We get it. We get it. You're all about gay rights, but nothing is more insulting than making a gay joke. Gotcha. No. You just proved how smart you are. Oh my gosh, your comment got deleted. How did that happen? Welcome, Greg. Thank you so much for being here. I greatly appreciate it. And hello, are you in Hawaii? Is that what's going on? Are you in Hawaii right now? Can I say something that's weird? I don't have I'm usually able to add the comments to the stream, but that's missing. I don't know why. That capability is missing, so I'm so sorry. I can't do that. Any plans on the national championship game? Yes. My plan is to find somebody far wealthier than me who has tickets to the game, who's like, hey, you want to go? That's my whole plan. That's my whole plan for IU Miami. So in addition to the story out of Iran, you have the United States involved in strikes in Syria. Tony Katz today. This is about the relationship that we are further developing with Syria, which is, of course, a relationship of convenience because the new leadership of Syria that pushed out Bashar al-Assad, not great people. It was the Druze community, Druze, that turned to the Israelis and said, please annex our land or let us in. We can't live under this. We're going to get destroyed. This real world that we live in, these relationships that we're seeing, this is about the eradication of ISIS, because those now in charge, regardless of that they may have come from these ISIS Al-Qaeda worlds, they don't want any part of this, and they certainly didn't want any part of Bashar al-Assad and his murderous regime, a guy who gassed his own people. And when Hezbollah got ripped asunder by the Israelis in that pager attack, and it became clear that they were unable to focus and therefore they couldn't get paid, and therefore these Hezbollah fighters like, well, listen, I'm only doing it for the money and I'm only doing it for the life. Get out of here. I'm gone. That's when Assad realized it was over and he had to flee to Moscow. And that's why it was so easy for these rebel groups to take over. These groups now having put together a leadership, a guy who had actually been in the White House. The one thing they have in common with the United States, amongst maybe some other things, but I'll say this top line, is that ISIS is a problem. They can't have the life that they want to have or the nation they want to have if ISIS is there. So this is not the first time that we have seen bombings of ISIS targets. This also comes after two U.S. members of the National Guard, I believe they're the Iowa National Guard, and an American interpreter were killed by ISIS. This was back in December. And so we're going about making sure that ISIS gets destroyed. I said earlier, the terrorists are never going to go away 100%. It's like these commies. Communists are never going to go away 100%. It's sadly going to be around. People want to believe lies. They want to believe that somehow communism has never really been tried. They want to believe that the stripper is really into them. People want to believe lies all the time. No one believes the con more than the mark. What we have to do is make sure that the terrorist is destroyed and the terrorist networks are destroyed by any and every means necessary. And we have to make sure that the communists lose elections. And then when they rise up in this red-green alliance to try and tear down Western civilization, we have to make sure that we fight back. This is going to lead us into the ICE protests and how Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman from Minneapolis, via Somalia, she is on the side of ISIS destruction. She's not on the side of America. She's not on the side of safety and security. What kind of person is this? What kind of person is this? What is it that we have done to our own nation? We're not talking about disagreements. We know what we're talking about. We're talking about somebody who despises what it is we are. Now, as for the strikes in Syria, no issue with them. I again wonder how the MAGA faithful feel. Because for a guy who is about no forever wars, he's done some punching with that military. And now you're hearing that members of Congress don't even think the president should be able to do any of it without their approval. There's a difference between war and an action. What Congress is trying to say is somehow this president doesn't have authority. But I believe that the law and the precedents are on his side. Troops in Venezuela, that would be different. But so far, this is Congress trying to shut down the chief, the commander-in-chief. I'm Tony Katz. Uh-oh. Look at this. Look at this. Keep bootlicking. No, no, no. You're getting it all wrong. Okay, all right. Guys, man, we are in the... Do I cover the trolls or not, Producer Landon? How does this work? No, I mean, do I share what they say? Nah, I'm just going to drop them out. Bye, Felicia. Nah. So there's sometimes you use it because it's great as a jumping off point, but after a while, it's just like you just complaining and nah. I don't, that's not how I am. It's not how I act. It's not what I want to do. So, that's that. We got to talk about the Fed chair being indicted. Yeah, I was going to do something on the left and Hamas. I think I'm going to do Fed chair now. Is that all right? You guys don't care. You're cool with it. All right. So there's that. I'm erasing a whiteboard. There's a whiteboard, right? You can't. Now, I'm not trying to be racist. It just happens to be white. Oh, that took you a second, Producer Landon? No, it should not have. You have a whiteboard. You know what that means. God almighty. Jennifer, it's so sad we have to specify, right? I just don't think it's good to do radio with a blackboard and chalk dust. Oh my gosh, maybe I am a racist. I never considered it. Now I have to think about it nonstop. All right, I'm done. All right, I am done. Let's see what else we've got going on. I don't think I've got anybody. I don't have anything from Trump or Caroline Levitt or anybody else today. Supreme Court is, oh, they heard it this morning, right? They started talking about students, boys and girls sports. I think that was in front of the Supreme Court today. There were two cases. One's out of West Virginia. Oh, where's the other one? I'll break. I will remind me. I'll break it down this week. Got Senator Elizabeth Warren. Oh yeah, oh yeah. If I have to suffer through Elizabeth Warren, you have to suffer through Elizabeth Warren. That's how we roll, people. We're in this together. All right, I will discuss the whole sonic weapon thing and how bothered I am by all of it. I will get into that. Trust me. Guys, getting back to the show. I don't think there's anything more precious than when Elizabeth Warren wants to talk about the economy. Tony Katz today. Of course, commie. Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, nothing has been more awful. But she decided that today was going to be a good day to have a press conference about the economy, and her argument, Donald Trump is really starting to sweat it.
Hello, somebody got a question?
Do you think Republicans and Democrats can come together to form a healthcare plan?
It's up to the Republicans. Democrats have made clear we want to lower healthcare costs for Americans. Republicans passed a law last July that raised those costs for Americans, and so far they've refused to back off that. So ask the Republicans, we're still in this fight all the way.
The biggest problem that Republicans have with healthcare is that they have no response to Obamacare, and 16 years later, they still don't have a response. They have failed in every single way on this subject. And it does look like they have simply given up and said, okay, Obamacare is here to stay. Because if it's not Obamacare, it's going to move the left into, well, we need full universal health care, which is where they're going to move anyway. And in order for us to engage some level of rationality, we have to rip Obamacare out by the root. It doesn't work. It costs too much. And these subsidies are madness. Yes, the House voted for 3-year subsidies. 17 Republicans went over with the Democrats to do so because all elections are local and they're trying to win. And Republicans didn't give them another plan. This was, and I think it's rightfully said, as a failure by Speaker Johnson. I don't think Speaker Johnson has been bad at the job. He took it reticently. There was nobody else who wanted it, nobody else who was going to get the votes. I mean, I should take it back. There are definitely people who wanted it. They weren't going to get the votes. And Johnson gets it, and he has been good at it. I would argue better than the expectations. I don't argue that he's better at it than Kevin McCarthy. I still say, all these years later, that getting rid of Kevin McCarthy did absolutely nothing. Absolutely, positively nothing. None of us are better off. Nothing was done smarter. Matt Gaetz being out of Congress is far better than not having Kevin McCarthy as the speaker. Just so we're all clear. And I know some people disagree with me about that, and that's fine. But Mike Johnson has been more successful than not. In this, he lost it. Absolutely fell apart all around him. Can't really be denied. But that's the issue with healthcare. But what else was it that Elizabeth Warren wanted to say?
To lower healthcare costs.
Senator, you had as much influence on the Biden administration policy as anyone, appointees, economic policy, and it wound up, clearly the American people rejected that in the second term. I'm curious why you think that now, going into the midterms and beyond, that you should have this kind of influence on steering the party's direction.
It's an interesting question. You had a bunch of influence on Joe Biden. You were all about which appointees here, there, and everywhere. And America said, kiss off. Well, why do you think you should have a voice now?
I don't see it that way at all. Donald Trump stood up and said every day for a year, I will lower costs on day one. That is the promise he made. People like Lena Khan in the Biden administration were fighting that fight. And what the American people want to see us do is deliver.
Now, it is undoubtedly true what the American people want to see is you deliver. We want lower costs. Absolutely true. And Trump did say he would do it on day one. Now, the problem with saying that is people are going to say, oh, it's been one day. Things aren't lower. Look what you did. Right? That's the issue. Of course, it's irrational from them. I'm not saying no. I am saying instead of some sloganeering platitude, you could have phrased it differently. Now, there's another way to look at this. Who cares what she says? He won, and everything's being worked on. I will say it again for the people in the cheap seats. There are still economic issues out there, and they are real. And when I take a look at these gold and silver prices, holy mackerel. Silver today, no. Gold was $4,600 an ounce. Silver was $85 an ounce. A barrel of oil is $58 on the West Texas crude coming out of the ground. $63, the Brent crude coming out of the oceans. Silver is $85. Kids, that's a hedge. There are still people who do not feel that this economy is in a good spot. And the market was super weird today because the DOJ has filed charges against Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve. And you're like, what did he do? What did he steal? Nothing. The issue here is that they were doing a renovation of a building. And it's like $2.5 billion over, was it $2.5 billion over the estimate? Double check me there, producer Landon. I think it's 2.5 B, 2.5. Throw it in the chat room if you would. $2.5 billion in overruns. You're like, what's going on here? This is the waste, fraud, and abuse. Even what we're looking at regarding Minneapolis, you know where this all starts in terms of getting people paying attention to this? Doge. Doge was the right idea. Doge needs to come back. It needs to be stronger. It needs to be codified as law, and it has to happen today. And I don't care if it's Elon doing it or somebody else. This is the way. It's the same thing with Trump talking to defense contractors and saying, what the hell is this with the overruns? You tell us it's going to be ready in 3 years. 3 years comes, you're like, oh, we need another year and a half. Why are we paying you? Who said you could do this? And government being government, they go, well, I guess it's going to take them another year and a half. Here's some more checks. Why do I oppose a government-run society as opposed to a people-run society? Why do I oppose government being in all things and instead favor capitalism in the markets? Because competition means things get done on time, and competition is good. Competition is valuable. Competition makes our life better. And government doesn't have competition, and therefore they don't care. And you know this every time you've been at the DMV, which is really weird because I live in Indiana. And one of the things that Governor Mitch Daniels did a great number of years ago was revamp it's the Bureau of Motor Vehicles here. It's the BMV, which is still hard for me to get used to after like a dozen years. And what you get is a super efficient system. It's unbelievable. Super efficient. It's crazy. But that means somebody actually wants to pay attention to the result that happens for the citizen. That doesn't happen in government. That doesn't happen. You get these overruns, and everyone says, well, I guess it's what's going to take, and writes another check. And what do they care? They don't have to pay for it. It comes from us, for some kind of greater good. Find the fraud, find the fraudsters, and get rid of people who aren't necessary in government business, and start dealing with these contractors the way you would in the private sector. Produce results or you're gone. I love that. But this lawsuit against Jerome Powell, I don't know how this helps. Because Jerome Powell is now out there making statements that this is all because I won't do Trump's bidding and I won't lower the interest rates. And he's just angry with me. That's the entirety of it. Powell even put out a statement where he looks rather sleepy, talking about it.
On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned in part a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president.
Now, there are two things here. First, the overruns, $2.5 billion. Producer Landon, double check, $2.5 billion. It certainly cannot be allowed. And I think it is very acceptable to look into it and see if there was any ill doing. As a matter of course, I don't think this works out well. I don't think there's an electoral winner in here. I don't think it really moves people in the midterms. And I'm very focused on this right now. You guys know we've got the event coming up that is going to be January 24th. Trump 1 year later, the Red Tie Gala, the highs and the lows of the last year, and how we utilize this information to win the midterms. It's going to be incredible. I've got bourbon for everybody, swag, food, live music. Everyone's dressing fancy, doing the red tie. So you could do tux and gown, you could do cocktail tie or suit, just wear pants. And I'll even, just some level of red in there would be super groovy. So that's January 24th, tickets.tonykatz.com. It's going to be so incredible. I'm going through things that you have forgotten about. And so it's a giant show that I do happening at the Hyatt Regency in downtown Indianapolis. Get your tickets, tickets.tonykatz.com. And I don't think that this is going to help with the midterms. I don't. But I will not listen to Jerome Powell tell me that everything he has done regarding interest rates is totally perfect. That there's been no politics at play when Biden was in office or when Trump's in office. That doesn't fly. But I don't know where the charges help. What I know is that $2.5 billion worth of overruns, that's a problem. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. we back? Hey, welcome back, guys. Sorry, I was typing. Right there and getting everything together, getting some shorts out. Make sure you are following on YouTube. You subscribe. So I spent a couple months studying this idea of how people grow on social media. And let me at least share with you what I've learned. Anybody who tells you to go viral doesn't know what they're talking about at all or in any way. They don't know what they're talking about. They're kind of ridiculous, because going viral is not the thing. It's about being consistent in the creation and the publication of content. That's what works. That's what wins. So I have been saying, okay, we are going to engage a very rational strategy here. And the rational strategy is, here's what we do and here's when we do it, and we don't deviate. We're not going to try and game the system. We're not gonna say, hey, here's a get rich quick scheme. No. We're gonna go and do the work, and every day we're gonna make it happen exactly in a system, and it's showing success. So to anybody out there who's like, you want to build your own channel and everything else, this is it. This is 10,000. I think that this is it. It is being what's the best word I'm looking for? Aggressive to its creation, right? We do this daily. We do this consistently, and it's being willing to be patient. You're not trying to create the wild and crazy thing. That's not what it's about. We're not trying to be wild and crazy. We're not trying to say, hey, look at us and we're so wacky and for the viral moment. You want people who actually want to be a part of what you're doing. And that involves regularity, and that involves focus. So that's what I learned. So I was just doing some posting right there. Now, maybe you see it differently. Maybe you've had other successes. I'm all ears. I can be wrong. This is what my studying has shown me. I'm here to tell you that when I saw Caroline Levitt say, hey, check out this story about how we took out Venezuelan military and Cuban security forces when we were going after Maduro. This is amazing. And it was this firsthand report of someone in Venezuela. It was like, I don't know what they hit us with. We didn't see them coming. They jammed all our communications. And the next thing you know, we're in great pain, like the sound is in our heads. Caroline Levitt, the press secretary, is pushing that story. I am a real believer that you do not show your hand unless you have to. I'm a believer that what we should be doing is not talking about methods, but rather looking at the rest of the world and saying, oh yeah, the Venezuela thing, getting Maduro, yeah, easy. Wonder what's for lunch. And not even noticing that it happened, making other nations wonder what it is we're capable of and how we're capable of them. But Caroline Levitt was like, ha, check it out. Is that what we should be doing? I am going to dig into that. And also, you understand that the UK has fallen. There's a reason they're not covering the possible collapse of the Iranian regime. You've got the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, saying that we are not going to ban cousin marriage because he's worried about what the Islamists might say. It is an unbelievable story where they have also had over 12,000 arrests of what? People who have written things that aren't nice on social media. I have not yet gotten to London, Scotland. I want to see the castles more than anything. I'm not so sure I can go now because I may have said something not nice on social media. Well, what is the thing? Oh, I don't know. It's whatever the British decided at the moment. These stories are coming up. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Guys, glad you're here. Glad to see so many people a part of it, and we're growing every single hour and builds as we go. Hour 2 is coming up. Here's what's going on. We are in the radio break right now. And so considering we're in the radio break, we take the break right here. So smoke them if you got them. I have them. The La Aurora Cameroon is what I'm smoking right here. I think it's a great cigar for the show. You know, and I do different cigars for the show than I do when I'm off the show because of time, and you're talking, you're putting things down, it goes out, you're relighting it. So I do cigars that are a little bit lower in cost. I really do keep them under $10 when I'm doing the show, just to make it easy. And I'm working hard to find the good stuff. So I'll tell you what I find when I find it. Also, Eat, Drink, Smoke. If you're in the Indianapolis area, my Cigar and Bourbon show is live at Big Hoffa's Barbecue tomorrow at 6 p.m. They're doing a whole Old Forester bourbon night. You can go to bighoffas.com and get more information, tickets, everything else. I don't know if it's sold out or not, but we will be there. We will be live. We'll be talking to people, trying Old Forester, doing the whole thing. So really looking forward to that. If you want to come out and say hello, that is at bighoffas.com. Oh, and as for my lighter, so this is part of the Opus X Society collection. This is the military right here. There we go. I'm not a believer in money on lighters. If you want to have one nice lighter, I get it. Like for your office or for where you smoke cigars, etc. For, you know, just as a cool collection piece, I got it. That's why I got this. I also had gift cards. Fire is fire. Fire is fire, and you can use anything. Place like CVS or Walgreens, they've got something called the Blue Torch, Big Blue, whatever it is. It's like this big. It's a giant reservoir. It's $8, $6, something in that range. Perfect. Single flame torch. Perfect. Use that. Cutters for cigars. That's where you got to spend some money. You got to get a clean cut. You do. We'll talk more about it. Guys, we're taking the break. Kick back, relax, smoke them if you got them, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. How's your mother? Let's see what we've got going on. My gosh, the comments have exploded. Good to see all of that. My music choice was unapproved. The salsa's better. Is that it? Is that what we got? Okay. I will remember that for next time. Oh yeah. You're gonna get some Sunny hosting. You're gonna get some Sunny hosting. You're gonna get some Ilhan Omar. Gosh, I feel for you. I know it's rude. It's just rude and it's wrong, but it's happening. It is absolutely happening. I've got this from Caroline Levitt, and then this. Get rid of that. I'll keep that. The latest on Iran. Oh, and then there's this right here, which we have to get to. Just getting some stuff together, guys. I apologize. So we're coming back to the show. I do not believe it is a stretch to say that the political left is encouraging the violence against immigrations and customs enforcement, encouraging the violence against law enforcement, encouraging the violent people to be more violent, just like they called for a lone wolf to go after and try and do harm to President Donald Trump when he was candidate Trump, which they did in Butler, Pennsylvania. There, but for the grace of God. Well, depending on who you are, you absolutely believe that to be true. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Find everything I do at tonykatz.com, TonyKatz. Ilhan Omar showing up in Minneapolis, showing up to egg on these protesters, and then heading back to D.C. so she can be on CBS's Face the Nation and engage this way.
The recordings that we see, is there anything that you believe was being done that should not have been done by Macklin Good? The administration says she was blocking the road. They are claiming this is an act of terrorism.
First things first. The argument about terrorism comes from the White House when they declared that Renee Good was engaged in an act of domestic terrorism when she hit an ICE agent with her car. The reason they called it domestic terrorism is the same exact reason that the left started screaming legal observer and that ICE are murderers. The left will say, how dare you call this fine young woman a terrorist? First, I don't agree with the fact that she's a fine young woman. You told me that George Floyd was a fine young man. He wasn't. You told me that, what was the name of the guy in Ferguson? Brown was his last name? Fine young man? No, he wasn't. He attacked a cop, broke a cop's orbital socket, was known as a thief. Wasn't a fine young man, and charged at police when he was shot and killed. When people said, what? Hands up, don't shoot. They lied. They immediately created a narrative, trying gaining control of the situation to paint the subject as it wasn't. George Floyd, look at this cop that killed him. I have no respect for Derek Chauvin, the police officer, former police officer. I think his actions that day were despicable. But Derek Chauvin didn't kill George Floyd. The drugs in George Floyd's system killed George Floyd. That's what happened. Don't get angry with me for being factual and being honest. The call immediately to call Renee, Renee Good, a domestic terrorist, was about pushing back against narrative. You don't get to call her some legal observer, this mother and everything else. She was part of a group and she was interested in disrupting ICE activities. She trailed ICE everywhere. She was blocking traffic, did not listen when told to move out of the roadway, did not exit the car when she was told to, and then moved forward before turning right and struck an ICE agent. All of these things were preventable if she had just prevented them. Can't be denied. Cannot be denied. So this question asked of Margaret Brennan to Representative Ilhan Omar. She's so kind and so loving in her questions. Here's the answer we get from the Congresswoman.
Yeah, Renee Nicole Good, as you hear her say, she's not mad. She's sitting in her car.
Stop it. Stop it. What Representative Omar is referring to is that there's body cam footage of her in her car where she's smugly saying, "Oh, I'm not mad. I'm not angry." And then her partner's like, "Why don't you go have lunch, big boy?" She's not mad. She's not angry. It doesn't matter that she said that. It matters what she was doing. And what she was doing was engaging in violence. Tony, it's not violence to block the roads. Yes, it is. Of course it is. Of course it's a violent act to block the roads. Of course it's a violent act to destroy art. These no war for oil people who throw soup and paint on art and then glue themselves to the walls. Of course it's an act of violence. Every rational person knows that it's an act of violence. When people block the road and keep others from traveling down the street, keep ambulances from getting to hospitals, it's an act of violence that's doing that. And as I've said before, the people who glue themselves to the roads or the people who glue themselves to the walls, why are we helping them? You glued yourself to the wall. That's where you're going to die. You glued yourself to the roadway. All right, so it'll be bumpy for 2 or 3 days, but eventually it'll smooth right out. What? These people want to show me how committed they are. I think we should help them see that through. Or these people are totally full of crap, and they know that we're going to adhere to the social contract even though they don't. And we're going to stop the traffic, and we're going to, after hours, safely escort them off, and then we're going to help them, unglue themselves from the roadway or the wall. Absolutely not. We're in a museum, and if somebody glues themselves to the wall, I believe they become an art piece, and we should build an enclosure around them with a window in it so we can slowly watch them die like it's the real-life version of the movie Seven. But there's no IV. You eventually run out of water. And I want to build the enclosure because who needs the smell? I don't know how they're going to go to the bathroom. I don't know how they're going to take a shower. That's not my problem. You glue yourself to the wall in my museum, I got to profit off that thing. So I build the enclosure around you and you slowly die. We also soundproof the thing because the last thing we want to do is hear your screams. You say to me, "Tony, how dare you?" They glued themselves to the wall. And you think that I have to be the good, kind, decent person while they destroy art. ISIS destroys art. ISIS destroys history. Do you have any idea what I think we should do to people who destroy art? I know it freaks somebody out, many people out. Conservative who likes art, damn straight. I love it. We need more. And art that actually means something, art that actually tells a story. One of the things that I'm loving about Trump right now is that he wants to bring about more of these kinds of great works. And he wants to put in, I think he wants to do an arch, like the Arc de Triomphe. And I believe they wanted to call it the Arc de Trump, which I am totally opposed to. All this naming after yourself is just super weird and super creepy, and he's just wrong, and he's just wrong. I don't want to hear it. I don't want people saying, "Oh, Tony, you just can't help." We can name things for him afterwards. You don't name things for yourself. That's third world dictator, African nation freak show. I want no part of it. But if you want to start putting up designs that are in the neoclassical style, I'm all in favor. Art that actually means something, as opposed to the nothingness and the nihilism of the left. Oh yeah, absolutely, I'm in favor of it. 1,000% in favor of it. You glue yourself to the wall, you're an art piece. You destroy art, we destroy you. If I'm ever in a museum and someone throws something at an artwork, There's nothing that's going to stop me. Nothing. That's how obscene it is. And no society should allow the art to be destroyed. That's why when the left wanted to destroy statues of members of the Confederacy or Thomas Jefferson, they had to be physically stopped. We could argue that maybe we don't need the statue of Robert E. Lee. We can't erase the history of America, even if some of it was ugly. And we should be able to be people who have enough nuance to say, well, this person over here, this person in history, they were about being able to control their own destiny. And this person was about slavery. We should know this about these people and maybe see them differently. But pulling down statues, that stuff deserves a pushback and a fight. Defacing statues, 100 years in jail. One strike, 100 years in jail. But let's get back to Ilhan Omar, who wants to tell you that everything ICE did was wrong and everything this woman did is just fine.
Peacefully waving cars to get by. This agent, as you see, gets out of his car, automatically starts running towards her, trying to open her door.
The agent wasn't running. The agent said, get out of the vehicle, repeatedly as he walked to the door. And then, yes, indeed, did try to open the door. Now, here's where Representative Ilhan Omar, this is where it all falls apart if it hasn't already.
She feels scared. She tries to turn the wheel away. And then you see the other officer who can clearly see the car is move towards the front of the car, which if they are saying that he has 10 years on service and is trained, he should know that you shouldn't be trying to get in front of a moving car. And so
it's the agent's fault for being in front of the car. Ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Nothing is the fault of Renee Good. Everything is the fault of ICE. That is the position of the political left, and that is the position of Ilhan Omar, who is supportive, aggressively supportive of dismissing ICE, aggressively supportive of pushing back against ICE, aggressively supportive or extremely supportive of being confrontational with ICE. This is who she is. Representative Omar believes that it is okay to not listen to law enforcement. It is okay to thwart their operations because of how you feel. This is a member of Congress. Why in the world do we accept this? Why in the world do we allow this? Why in the world should we tolerate this? There's not enough censure to take place for Representative Omar. There just isn't. But she is emblematic here of the left writ large. And the left writ large believes that they should not have to listen, believes that they should engage these kinds of fights. They believe that their violence is justified. There was a piece, where is it? I've been holding on to this for a little over a week. And it's depressing statistics. It was a post. And it reads that, this is from a guy by the name of Billy Binion. I don't know where he's quoting it from. I think maybe from the Atlantic. Similarly, 41% of Democratic college students would not support a Republican-run business, 37% would not be friends with a Republican, and 30% would not work for one. And Republicans thinking about Democrats, 7%, 5%, and 7%. Yeah. This goes along with the line that Democrats feel that it is okay to engage in violence with the political right, with law enforcement, because they've decided something is wrong. Now, this is going to lead us into a conversation about the horror of liberal white women. Horrible. Awful. But when you have members of Congress, members of state legislatures who favor the violence, push the violence, condone the violence, and then try and obfuscate from what really happened, what kind of society do you think you can have? And it's a reminder that Election Day is November 3rd, 2026, and these people cannot be allowed to win. They can't run a country, they can't run a society, and they want to aggressively hurt the people they disagree with. You can't allow them to be in power. I'm Tony Katz. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. First, it's Tony Katz. I am the host of Tony Katz Today. I also host Tony Katz in the Morning News. I also host Eat, Drink, Smoke, and I also host Your Mom on Tuesdays. Welcome to the show. Glad you're here. Let's see, who's next? Who is next? No way this kid can swim. No chance. Well, I can swim. But I agree. No one can hold their breath quite like your mom. That's two. That is two. Hold on one second. Here, I think there was one more. Because I'm smoking a cigar. Enjoy the lip cancer maggot bootlicker. That's fantastic. Speaking of lips, how's your mom? All right. Am I done now? Did I? Oh. This is how they spend their day. Just giving me content. And we'll say goodbye to you. Okay, that was fun. That was nice. There we go. And we don't need you anymore. And let's see who else has to go. I think I got them all. Let's see what else we got. By the way, I'm telling you right now, 24th is going to be absolutely amazing. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Trump 1 year later, the highs, the lows, how we win the midterms, the bourbon, the food, the laughs, the live music. It's going to be an incredible night. Incredible night. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Get your tickets right now. Incredible. Are you banning alternative views? No. No, I'm banning schmucks. There's a difference. There is a difference there. Disagreeing with me is fine. But disagree. I hope you get lip cancer. Oh, that person's gone. One way or another, we will take Greenland. Aye. It's not one way or the other. There's a deal to be made for Greenland. There's a deal to be made to work within Greenland. We shouldn't somehow think that this is going to be some military takeover. And I don't know why people keep pushing this.
Exciting times right now here at NATO, obviously, with all the issues that are going on. My belief is that this whole discussion is about the security and the defense of North America, the continent of North America, and therefore Greenland. And obviously, President Trump and his advisors do not believe that the country is properly secured. We are obviously having a lot of discussions with the Kingdom of Denmark on these topics. I do not doubt for a minute that we will be able to get to a resolution that's satisfactory to both sides.
That's Matt Whitaker, the U.S. ambassador to NATO. Correct. There's a deal to be made. And I think that, as I've often said, that the saber rattling of military incursion, that's not going to be it. But if it allows for the conversation to happen, well, then I don't think that the president is opposed to that. But this is going to be a financial deal. This is going to be a relationship deal. That's what's happening. And I think it's weird when people are like, well, you can't take somebody else's land. All of history is land going from one group to another group. That's why it's so ridiculous when the left is like, America exists on stolen land. It's all stolen land. All of it. Every last piece of land is stolen land from somebody else. And if it wasn't stolen from one group to another, it was stolen from the animals that used to roam free there until we slaughtered them all and ate steaks. It's like listening to the conversation about slavery. Slavery is pure evil. You would think, listening to the left, that only the United States had slaves. Only those white slave owners. All peoples across society either owned slaves or were slaves. And black people had slaves, and Hispanic people had slaves, and Asian people had slaves. It is ugly, but true. And history doesn't stop being history because some people don't want to acknowledge it or somehow think Howard Zinn had something to say. Greenland is important. Greenland is a conversation, and absolutely there will be a deal made because there's reality. The Danes are going to come to the table with a deal. What does that deal look like? I don't know. The Europeans are going to say, no, we're going to block you from this. This has been a conversation for a long time, and now it's here. But it isn't going to be militarily. And I would oppose it with everything in me. And Whitaker, he handled himself very well there. This is Tony Katz today. Yes. And by the way, welcome to the show, man. Just because someone disagrees with the truth doesn't change it. Correct. Absolutely accurate. 1,000%. Let me see what else. Okay. So I've got Keir Starmer, right? I've got that story to do. I've got this story. I might just throw this all in three more things. Chavez de Remer. I've got this. Get rid of that. Let me swear. Where is Goodell showed up to Hammond? Oh my. Wow. So there's a really interesting thing going on where we live, where the Chicago Bears are trying to get a new stadium in Illinois. And Cook County and some surrounding areas are like, yeah, we don't want to give you this, that, or the other. The Bears have said, we'll build the stadium. We just need, whether it's the tax incentive or whatever else is need, and they'll build it. And Illinois said, well, yeah, it's not on the docket for this year. We're not talking about it. Enter Indiana. So Northwest Indiana is a place that the first congressional district is Democrat. It's a place that has suffered for years with a lack of growth. Gary, Indiana, especially, but the surrounding, a place called Hammond, and there have been real efforts there. They've been really trying. Well, the Bears are now looking at putting a stadium right there. They'll build the stadium. What they want from Indiana is the connectivity, the infrastructure to make this happen. And Indiana is saying, oh yeah, we're in. Now, maybe the Indianapolis Colts aren't thrilled with this, but it would still be a central time zone city. So therefore, a central time zone team. It would still be Chicago's team. It would just be in Indiana where the team would save hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes. So much so that I assume that every single player would now purchase a home somewhere in Indiana and therefore claim that they are Indiana residents and save so much on their taxes. So this is something that we should pursue. We don't have to build a stadium, which I would be opposed to. We're just talking about like off-ramps and interchanges and parking lots. And yeah, absolutely. The story is that Roger Goodell, commissioner of the NFL, was in Northwest Indiana today looking at sites. That's interesting. I hope it happens. Nothing would make me happier than seeing Illinois lose this team. I think they'd still be the Chicago Bears. I got three more things for you. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Live streaming youtube.com/Tony Katz. Get in there, get in the chat room, be a part of what we're building and what we're growing. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. There's a story from Alpha News, and I'll take it with a grain of salt, that the Minneapolis finance chief who signed contracts with Minneapolis Public Schools, the finance chief has been placed on administrative leave. So the guy's name is Ibrahima Diop. And it's contracts with a group called Frontier Transportation Services, hired by the Minneapolis Public Schools to transport homeless and highly mobile students in passenger vans. I'm not quite sure what they mean by highly mobile, but leave it be. So one of the things they're saying is that some of the transportation companies that are under contract with the district were filmed dropping off children at the Quality Learning Center. You know this from the Nick Shirley videos, the original story by City Journal about how all this money is going to these daycares that don't have any children. And it's a huge scam, millions, if not billions of dollars. And it's not just in Minneapolis. We're seeing this in Ohio, Washington State, other places. We're seeing this everywhere. So what is being learned is that the transportation services company seems to be connected with two individuals who were charged in Arizona with submitting over $2.5 million of fake medical trip invoices. So how did this company get a contract with the Minneapolis Public Schools? Where this guy, this transportation company, has been found guilty in levels of bad faith, things like that. This guy, the finance guy for Minneapolis Public Schools, signed off on a contract for this transportation company, increases of $1 million, $1.5 million, and $500,000 in recent years. The contracts require school board approval. So the question is this guy getting a kickback? I am clearly not clever enough to be a criminal. I'm not brazen enough to be a criminal. But there is so much of this that we're seeing. And remember, this right now is an accusation. But this guy was placed on leave, so you wonder what it is the schools know that they haven't told us yet. They just do it right out in the open. And then one of the reasons they do it right out in the open is because they feel that you'll never come after them. And as they stated, if you disagree with us, if you don't sign off on these things, we'll just call you racists. And there's nothing the leftist fears more than being called a racist. Then there's the story of the Labor Secretary, Lori Chavez DeRemer, who is being accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a subordinate. This, according to the New York Post. And I love the fact that they refer to her lover as a paramour. Oh, such a great word. Paramour. That the lover has been at least 3 times to her D.C. apartment and twice to her hotel room while traveling. Normally, it'd be like, so she has a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever. What do we care? The paramour is allegedly a subordinate, an employee. In a world of Me Too, well, that's a problem. She's accused of drinking in her office during the workday. Now, wait a second. That's a crime? You can't drink in your office? Oh, sorry, just taking a sip. Excuse me. Refreshing. It's a Diet Coke. Settle down. And she's committed travel fraud by having her chief of staff and deputy chief of staff make up official trips to destinations where Chavez DeRemer can spend time with family or friends on the taxpayer dime. Now, I don't know how Trump would react to DeRemer having a relationship with somebody who's a subordinate. I don't know. But if you remember in the first term, the Secretary of Health and Human Services was a man by the name of Tom Price, congressman from Georgia. Tom Price, a very, very good guy, a very smart guy, a doctor, could explain Obamacare well, was the kind of guy you wanted to be engaged in these conversations. And Tom Price started taking trips on the government dime. I think there was some kind of redo of the office. but taking trips on government dime for his private need. And Trump said, you have to go. He didn't put up with that for a second. If that theory, that philosophy still holds true, and this is accurate, she's gone. The White House right now, through a spokesperson who is not Caroline Leavitt, is calling the allegations baseless. Which brings us to Caroline Leavitt. Now, I want to say for the record, I'm not angry with her. I'm not upset with her. I have a question about something she did. Maybe you have the answer. Caroline Leavitt put out a post on the social medias. And the post read, stop what you are doing and read this. Okay. Stop what you're doing and read this. All right, we'll stop what we're doing and we will read just this. What is it that we're reading? It's a post from a guy by the name of Mike Netter. And the post says, this account from a Venezuelan security guard loyal to Nicolas Maduro is absolutely chilling. And when account doesn't mean a Twitter account, means the retelling of a story. Security guard. On the day of the operation, this is when the U.S. took Maduro into custody. On the day of the operation, we didn't hear anything coming. We were on guard, but suddenly our radar system shut down without any explanation. The next thing we saw were drones, a lot of drones, flying over our positions. We didn't know how to react. So first things first. If we are to believe the story, we can shut down your technology like flipping a light switch, and we can overwhelm you with a drone force before you know what happened. Got it. The interviewer says, so what happens next? How was the main attack? And the security guard says, after those drones appeared, some helicopters arrived, but they were very few. I think barely 8 helicopters. From those helicopters, soldiers came down, but a very small number, maybe 20 men. But those men were technologically very advanced. They didn't look like anything we fought against before. I'm not sure what that means. They didn't look like anything you had fought against before, technologically advanced. You're not saying that they were drones. They weren't robots. They were actual real live soldiers, right? They were just geared up. Maybe that's it, right? They were just geared up. Like Greg is saying, super soldier gear, whatever that may be. Okay. All right. I got it now. They're geared up. The interviewer says, and then the battle began. The security guard, quote, yes, but it was a massacre. We were hundreds, but we had no chance. They were shooting with such precision and speed. It seemed like each soldier was firing 300 rounds per minute. We couldn't do anything. Already I'm uncomfortable with this. And if you ask me why, it's because I don't know if I would highlight this story. Tony, what are you ashamed of our ability to? No, not ashamed of it at all. I don't want the enemy to know what it is we're capable of. I want them to experience it and live in fear for the rest of their days. It may come again. I don't want to brag about it. And this is where I start reading this and saying, why is Caroline Leavitt promoting this story? Continues. The interviewer says, interviewer says, and your own weapons, did they help? And the security guard says, no help at all, because it wasn't just the weapons. At one point, they launched something. I don't know how to describe it. It was like a very intense sound wave. Suddenly, I felt like my head, it was exploding from the inside. We all started bleeding from the nose. Some were vomiting blood. We fell to the ground, unable to move. And you get visions of Stranger Things if you watch the last season. This has been known for some time, that we have certain capabilities. We have the ability to send out signals that can create, whether it's radio waves, infrared, I will let experts explain that can create intense heat and disperse a crowd. We have the ability to engage a sound repeater. So if you are speaking, what happens is what you're saying comes back to you a half second later. And because of that, your brain doesn't know how to process, and you actually stop talking because you're not sure how to move next. It's fascinating. It's frightening, but it's fascinating. Why are we highlighting a story that discusses how we're able to send out or emit waves that literally drop you? Remember, this is something that we talked about that happened to U.S. soldiers in Cuba, where they were hit with sound, and it is still, many of them, mentally scarred, not okay. And we believe that came from the Chinese. The interviewer said, in your comrades, did they manage to resist? And the security guard said, no, not at all. Those 20 men, without a single casualty, killed hundreds of us. We had no way to compete with their technology, with their weapons. I swear I've never seen anything like it. We couldn't even stand up after that sonic weapon or whatever it was. And the interviewer asks, so do you think the rest of the region should think twice before confronting the Americans? And the guard says, without a doubt, I'm sending a warning to anyone who thinks they can fight the United States. They have no idea what they're capable of. After what I saw, I never want to be on the other side of that again. They're not to be messed with. At that moment, I questioned whether any part of the story was true or just the greatest propaganda piece I've ever read. I got to assume that it's true because I absolutely believe, like you would believe, that our capabilities are beyond comprehension. My problem is I want to keep them that way. For the Israelis, the worst part about the pager attack was being able to show the world what they're capable of, because now you know. Now, they still haven't told them what they're not capable of, but you don't show your hand unless you have to. Maybe Israel did when it came to the pager attack against Hezbollah. The United States didn't. And I don't know why we're publicizing this. I'm not embarrassed of our skill set, of our technology, of how amazing we are. I don't want to share what doesn't have to be shared, and I don't think we should highlight any part of it. But maybe this whole thing is just a psyop anyway, and I just bought into it. You tell me, what is it that I just read here? And is it something that should have been highlighted? By the way, don't get angry with me for talking about it on air. The White House press secretary already said, check this out. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. All right. Good, and good. And what else did I miss? I got this. I got this. I got this. Make sure nothing's happening there. All right, excellent. Hegseth is going to be with Musk at the SpaceX facility in Texas. So interesting. Very interesting. Oh, everyone's driving me crazy. Sorry, guys. Keir Starmer is the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And I do hope that we are in the place where his days as Prime Minister are over and the people of Great Britain realize that you simply cannot have the liberals in power. The acquiescing to progressives, the unwillingness to stand up and fight for the future of the kingdom. This is now a constant thing taking place. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything I do over at tonykatz.com. And he still wants you to believe that the reason that people are coming to the UK from other nations is because of climate change. It's not the case. They're coming to the UK because you have allowed them to have excuse after excuse after excuse for coming to the nation, not melding into the nation and trying to make it something else.
I think we need to look at every aspect of illegal migration, upstream, looking at the causes, which of course are often poverty, climate change, persecution. Look at the causes. I think
climate change. That's just an example of his leftism. But when a piece of legislation was brought forward saying that we should not allow cousin marriage in the UK, that is not who we are. That is not a British value. But it is a value of a lot of the people who have come to the country, legally and otherwise. His party is blocking putting an end to cousin marriage. Why? He doesn't want to upset the Islamists. So who's in charge in the UK? And how should we as the United States deal with this so-called ally? I'm Tony Katz. Oh, don't worry. On the radio side, I'm going to get a lot of heat for saying so-called, but It is what it is. There's a reality at play. Can't deny it. Shouldn't deny it. I will see you guys January 24th. Get your tickets right now. Tickets.tonykatz.com. The event's fantastic. I've been working on it hours a day, making sure I've got this right, got this down pat, going through, making sure I've got the stories right, I've got the timeline right. You're going to be entertained. It's going to be a fantastic night. You're going to be like, my God, that was worth it. It's going to be spectacular. And the bourbon and the food and everything else, just terrific. Just great. Tickets.tonykatz.com. I hope to see you there. Get your tickets before they're sold out. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Don't forget to subscribe as well. Oh, no. I am not picking up a TV. The screens are already there. Oh, yeah. No. I'm not picking up nothing. All healed from the surgery. Feeling good. Back to at least being able to lift things. Oh, no. I'm not moving anything. Thank you, though. Appreciate that. Don't forget to subscribe. Go to TonyKatz.com and right here on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe here as well. I appreciate you, and I will catch you tomorrow. You guys be good now. Take care.